Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for me to give my honest opinions on PvP and Pokemon Go. We've had PvP for about a week now. We did the first ever tournament, we did the live stream, we've done some challenge videos, we've seen some of the community response to PvP. Nick did a poll. Actually, let me go look at that right now. And this will set the tone for today's video, is Nick's poll, because I thought it was pretty important. I have it right here. At the time that I'm looking at this, just curious, do you care about PvP and Pokemon Go? 47% said yes, and 53% said no, out of 16,000 votes. That's a lot of people voting, and that is a lot of people that don't apparently care about PvP and Pokemon Go. Now, I've been talking about it in like longevity terms of the game, that if PvP didn't do well, then the game had a questionable future, just because PvP is it. PvP is the, other than breeding, but I don't think breeding's gonna do anything, PvP is the last big feature that was needed to complete Pokemon Go, and it's here. And it looks like the community doesn't care too much about it. Now, before I get into anything, and even during or after I get into my thoughts on PvP, my opinion on PvP, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you guys enjoy the PvP system? Even go answer some of Nick's questions on Twitter, because they were pretty good too, and we're just trying to gauge why people are maybe less inclined to play PvP in Pokemon Go. Let me know in the comments. Do you guys enjoy the system? Why? Do you not enjoy the system? Why? And then obviously we're going to talk about some issues with PvP and my full opinion on the whole thing. But let me get your thoughts in the comments. Now, my honest opinion on PvP in Pokemon Go. I think it's a fantastic start. I'm not just saying that because I'm hashtag sponsored, because I'm not right now, technically. I am an advocate for the future of this game, meaning I want Pokemon Go to implement things that will keep people playing, bring new people in, and really hold people and grow the community. I love those kind of features. Community Day was awesome. It does just that, and it brings out a new shiny every month. It was great. Trading was a great addition. They balanced that very, very well. The whole trading system's pretty cool with the lucky Pokemon and whatnot. And now we've got PvP system. It's here, and I think it's a fantastic start. It's a bit rocky. It is a bit rocky. It's a bit rough around the edges right now, obviously. And I'll just address one of the major issues that a lot of people were I was talking to a lot of people on Twitter about, was the bug, the invite glitch, along with battling glitches. And you've seen this in my videos where like you invite somebody and then they invite you and then it doesn't work and then you gotta reload the game and then you this and that, and then sometimes you're battling someone and then you just disconnect, and there's a lot of different reasons why it doesn't work as just efficiently as it should. And these are just bugs and problems that I really hope to see Niantic fix in the future. And this is nothing that we can do as a community except for voice our complaints to Niantic politely, and then they obviously will get it fixed, hopefully soon. You know, they will get it fixed. Hopefully it will be soon. Now, the system itself, why do I think that it is a fantastic start? I like PvP in Pokemon Go. I think it fits very well with Pokemon Go's mission statement. It fits very well with how fast-paced Pokemon Go is compared to the main series. I feel like it does very, very well in the tap system. There is great strategy involved in being good at PvP. It's just lacking some things like leaderboards, like competitive stuff, and you know, tracking your progress at a global, I guess, leaderboards. And then obviously there's certain things like abilities and whatnot for certain Pokemon, and certain moves for certain Pokemon that have abilities, and then, you know, using potions during battles or using stones or whatever, what have you, during battles. There's a whole aspect of battling missing from PvP right now, but remember, this is only phase 1 of PvP. There is so much room. This is why I'm saying it's a great base, a great start, because Niantic is going to keep building on it, right? Like, we're going to see more and more updates and more depth come to PvP via Niantic, but that will just be in future updates. So I think we have a great start right now for PvP. The system works as long as you're not getting bugged or glitched out, or as long as you don't have a bad phone or bad internet connection, then it's smooth. Overall, it's been pretty smooth for myself and all of the battles that I've been doing. Obviously, we had to restart a couple times on certain battles, both in my challenge videos and in the live stream, but it runs very well. Situationally, runs very well. I know there are problems out there, and those need to get fixed. Now, everyone complained about tapping. Everyone's just like, you know, it's just tap, tap, tap. Well, like, there's more to it than just tapping. And I think a big problem about PvP right now, especially in the community, is that a lot of people have failed to realize how strategic and actually fun PvP really is when you try. Obviously, if you just use 3 random Pokemon against someone else's 3 random Pokemon and you just tap, tap, tap the entire time and don't really focus on strategy, it's not that fun. It's just another system you can use to farm, you know, resources like Stardust and Sinnoh Stones. You know, it's whatever like that. But if you really get into it, you get into the type effectiveness and all the other little strategic pieces of PvP, it gets really fun because there is a lot of strategy in the PvP system. Let me just kind of briefly explain. For one, type effectiveness, obviously there was the buff for super effective and the nerf for not very effective, so you do more damage having super effective damage than you did before PvP. So it's very, very important to understand type effectiveness, which is why PvP is pretty fun, because there's real strategy involved in it, because there's so many, you know, certain types do certain damage against certain other types, and certain Pokemon are better against other Pokemon. It's kind of fun once you get into it. Now, not only does type effectiveness play a big role into PvP in Pokemon Go, but remember that you can have 2 moves now. 2 moves for each Pokemon, which brings this whole new layer of strategy, because if you've got a Pokemon like, let's say, Alolan Marowak, right? It is fire and it is ghost type. It is a dual type Pokemon, which means you can learn fire and ghost type moves. Well, that can be very, very versatile. You can use that Pokemon to be super effective against a large range of Pokemon, kind of large range of Pokemon, and then also it's resistant against a larger range of Pokemon because it has that double typing, right? So leagues like Great League and Ultra League, where there's more diversity in the teams and, you know, different Pokemon shine because of CP limits, that's when it gets fun and strategic, because in the Great League you can have an Alolan Marowak completely steamroll people like it did in our PvP tournament. Obviously, if you get a Alolan Marowak versus a Mewtwo, it's going to be a different outcome. But in the Great League, there's a lot of competitive value in certain Pokemon, which makes it more fun, like Whiscash as well, a great Pokemon. It is ground and water typing, right? So you have a lot of resistances against a lot of Pokemon, and you can be super effective against a lot of Pokemon because you have those dual forms, the dual typing. So that part is super duper strategic, and again, really fun once you get into it. And then also shield usage and using Pokemon with quick charging charge moves in order to bait shields out. Very, very important, very, very strategic, because you only have 2 shields the entire battle and you can't swipe to dodge. Using your shields effectively and making your opponent burn their shields is really, really important, and it is super strategic. Also, being able to charge up a charge move and then switch out to another Pokemon and then be able to switch back to that Pokemon and use that charge move right away, and also being able to keep battling with the same Pokemon, not use the charge move, and then be able to basically send off multiple charge moves one after the other because you just charge that one Pokemon up. A lot of strategy in PvP. Also, when you're tapping the circle to build up that charge move, you don't want to double tap, you want to single tap, because you see this white little circle get bigger and bigger and bigger. That's when you know you're doing more damage with your charge move. Very strategic. Also, because you can only swap your Pokemon a certain amount of times per battle, and there's basically a time limit on how many times you can swap your Pokemon, or when you can swap your Pokemon out. Very strategic, because if you start out with, you know, let's say you've got a Vaporeon and then they have an Ampharos, and you're like, oh boy, I gotta switch out. So you switch to a Tyranitar with Stone Edge to destroy their Ampharos, but then they switch to a Vaporeon to destroy your Tyranitar. You can't switch again, and you're screwed. And the biggest part about strategy in PvP in Pokemon Go here is the fact that you don't know what the other person can be using. So you have to build your team very strategically to be able to cover a lot of types, both offensively and defensively. So the teams you put together have to be very strategically put together if you want to do well, which is fun. There's a lot of strategy in PvP beyond just tapping. And again, I think a lot of people have kind of failed to either recognize that, or just don't feel like applying themselves enough to Pokemon Go and to learning typing and to learning all this to be able to build good teams. I'm not like pointing fingers and being like, you're lazy, you know, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that, like, you know, I didn't do that. I didn't do that with PvP when it came out, and then now that I'm kind of getting into it, and, you know, now that I've lost a lot of battles, both on my channel and on a live stream, I kind of want to get better. So, you know, I'm learning type effectiveness. I'm learning all that kind of stuff to make sure that when I do PvP, I'm actually good at it. And with this system, you can be good at PvP. There is no, like, if you just tap hard enough, you'll win. It's not like that. There's a lot of strategy in PvP here in Pokemon Go, especially in the Great League, specifically, also the Ultra League, and obviously the Master League as well. Master League is more of a flex of who has powered up the biggest Pokemon, so it's not as cool, but the Ultra League and specifically the Master League, or specifically the Great League, are both very fun. And then obviously now with, you know, Stardust being a thing and being very, very precious, save your Stardust. That is why I think Pokemon Go PvP is very, very strategic, and I think that it does well. I think it does well. Again, it's fast-paced. The battles only last a couple of minutes, which is great for a mobile game, because you don't want people sitting there for 30 minutes doing a PvP battle. That's ridiculous. I also think that keeping the tap method was a great idea. It works well. The damage output works well. The super effective buffs did pretty good. Having 2 charge moves is great. There's a lot of, you know, the shield strategy is awesome. Only having 2 per, only being able to switch your Pokemon a certain amount of times per battle is great. I think the system has a lot of potential. A lot of potential to get better after Niantic, you know, fixes some bugs, and then, you know, maybe adds a little bit more depth, you know, more moves or abilities, or, you know, stuff like that. Once that's put in, it'll start getting pretty fun and pretty in-depth and strategic. But even even now, it already is very in-depth and strategic. It's like Clash Royale. You build a team of cards with a set strategy, a set amount of cards to be able to counter against and to defend against, and then you go up against someone with a completely, a deck that you don't know about, and that person can either steamroll you because they just randomly chose better Pokemon, you can steamroll them, or it could be a very balanced battle, or they can have the upper hand, but you could still come back if you play strategically enough. Look at it, it's very strategic. And I tweeted today basically saying that, Niantic built the base, they built the platform, they built the base, they built PvP, and we've got version 1 here. Now it's gonna be up to us as a community in order to build the fun into it, the challenge into it, the leaderboards into it, the competitive scene into it. We have to do that third party. And a lot of people were saying on Twitter, that shouldn't be our job, that should be the job of the developers of Niantic. Like, why would a developer put out a half-assed system and expect the community to find ways to make it fun? It's not like that. That's not how this is. And most games put out a game and the community finds a way to make it fun. You look at a lot of the professional esports. It's not the games that are funding it per se, but the esports organizations that have been formed around the games. Obviously the games endorse it because it's good for the games. Silph Arena is going to be the future of Pokemon Go PvP, and I'm not saying that because I'm a part of it. I'm saying that because Pokemon Go PvP needs something like it. The PvP system needs some sort of competitive system, some sort of way to track your progress and track your progress against other global users, like a leaderboard. Maybe like an online system could be implemented into the Silph system where you can like make friends online and have like a tightly knit like group chat with those people, build yourself up to ultra friends and then be able to battle each other online without having to meet each other in real life. There's a lot of things that we could do third party with Pokemon Go PvP to make it more fun, to make it more challenging, to make it more strategic. We can do these tournaments, these live streams, we can do these big cups in these regional tournaments and a massive, humongous Worlds tournament over the summer. There's a lot of room to do a lot of fun things with PvP in Pokemon Go, and it's gonna really fall on the shoulders of us as the community, like, people like myself, Silph Road, and Nick, to make it fun, to get those strategies out there, to create them on the back end for you guys to use, for you guys to enjoy, and it's gonna fall on your guys' shoulders to actually try it, enjoy it, maybe dabble in the competitive scene, get good at PvP or get strategic at PvP, learn type effectiveness. I think all of this is gonna play a massive role in the future success of PvP in Pokemon Go because I see it being an awesome base. It's a great start. Now we, as like myself, Nick, Silph Road, other influencers, we need to create obviously a more fun system for you guys to participate in because PvP by itself is fun, but it's not as fun. But with leaderboards, with competitions, with monthly cups and kind of that whole competitive aspect to it, I feel like it would be a lot more fun, especially since you can track your progress in leaderboards and you can find more people around you to battle up against more competitively. I see that being a really fun thing for the community and something that Pokemon Go has not implemented into PvP, so we're gonna do it third party. And I see a lot of potential moving forward with PvP because, we could do the tournaments, we can do the live streams. There is so much more that Niantic can do with PvP to make it more in-depth, more fun, more challenging, more strategic. They do have to fix certain aspects of it, and hopefully they do that soon. I believe in Pokemon Go PvP being successful, and I believe that the future of Pokemon Go it doesn't ride on PvP being successful, but if Pokemon Go wants a really, really large and growing online community, it's gonna need PvP to work because the competitive scene of any game is the reason why the online scene of that game, like the internet scene of the game, exists. Clash Royale too, viewership for Clash Royale is pretty low. And Clash of Clans, but there's a really, really strong base, a really, really strong community for competitive, because it's just fun, it's competitive. I've got a lot of faith in it. We just, we need to obviously get Silph Arena out working. We need the PvP bugs to get fixed. But again, I think we have a great base for PvP. I wouldn't say give up on the system yet. I would say actually invest more of your time into it. Start learning type effectiveness, start building good teams, start battling against other people and, getting more experience in PvP so that once something competitive rolls around, you can kick ass. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing and trying to develop on the back end with the other guys. So, we're working on it. We hear your feedback and we'd love to hear more of your feedback. Again, let me know in the comments your thoughts on PvP, and your comment will not go unread. We will have people looking through, hopefully I'll try to be looking through comments as much as I can and just pulling as much information because, we're looking to build this system so that you guys enjoy it, so that you guys play it, and so that it works with PvP, with Pokemon Go, and helps the game and the community grow and keep moving in a good direction. Your guys' input is super helpful because, you guys are the users. What you think is important. So yeah, that's my opinion on Pokemon Go PvP. I think it's a fantastic start. I think there are a lot of things that need to be fixed with it. On the bug end, I think there's a lot of room for potential and more depth. I think it already has a lot of depth and a lot of strategy. I think we've got a great system being built right now with the Silph Arena that you guys are gonna really enjoy. And I really think that there is a good future with Pokemon Go PvP, and that they did do it right. Now it just kind of depends on, you know, how the community will take it and what you guys will do with PvP, and what myself and you know the others can build for you guys to do with PvP to make it more enjoyable and more competitive, because there are certain aspects that are not in Pokemon Go for PvP but can be built third party for Pokemon Go PvP, if that makes sense, like a competitive league. It's not in Pokemon Go like Clash of Clans has, the leagues in Clash of Clans. Pokemon Go doesn't have that, but we can build that outside and really make it a competitive, fun environment. So I'm gonna stop blabbering. I just wanted to get this video out there because it just seemed like a lot of people were iffy, so on PvP, and I just kind of wanted to let you know where my mind is at with it. I'm very optimistic. I honestly enjoy the system. I enjoy the depth. After doing our first ever tournament, a lot of you guys watched, a lot of you guys really liked it, and you know, the tournament itself went fantastically. The bracket system worked great. The strategy was there. You know, it was actually difficult. People were actually using type effectiveness and dual typing and shield usage. It's very strategic, and it works very well in a competitive setting, and I'm very excited to help that formulate and grow. And I'm gonna stop talking because I'm now just blabbering. But again, let me know in the comments your thoughts on PvP. It's very important you guys comment down below your thoughts on PvP, because again, we're looking at it. But yeah, that's that's the mind of Mystic 7 on PvP. Now I'm gonna go sit down and answer emails about the self-care project. Thank you guys very much for emailing me about that. I'm still filtering through emails from 2 weeks ago because I got so many. And then I'm also gonna be doing a lot of investment and economic research tonight, which I'll probably talk about more in tomorrow's video if anyone's interested in that. But that's today's video. Hope you enjoyed, and those are my thoughts. I love you all. Peace.